Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be doing just like a life update just because I was so busy in the month of May that I didn't get to really film anything between going to Mexico and moving, which I don't know if you can tell, but I did move in with my boyfriend after I came back from Mexico, so that took up a lot of time, especially to get like this room prepped for everything and painted, and everything moved in. So I am in a new location now, so this will be my book room, study room, filming room that I'm in currently. So yeah, so I'm gonna start this with clips from Mexico. So all of the clips you see from Mexico are just really of me at the beach, and then the ones with like the dolphins and the jellyfish and like the animals like in the aquarium, that's at the interactive aquarium in Cancun, because we went there for one day. But yeah, that's about it. That's where all the places I really took videos in Cancun, because we were mainly at the resort most of the time, and I was gonna take videos at the Mayan Ruins Museum, but I didn't end up taking videos there, so I have no videos from there. I do have pictures though, but no videos. So yeah, so that's that, and then I will do just like a brief overview of this room here, and I'll put that in after the Mexico videos, and then I will be putting in, I was gonna do finishing series I'm in the middle of. I was gonna make that a video, however, I didn't have enough clips, so I'm just throwing the clips that I have of me reading those books in here. So yeah, and then I will put my reviews of those books in after those clips. Okay, so I'm going to give a quick overview of the book room, study room. So when you first walk in, you have my mirror there. I have this little table that I use for my cameras and my shell collection. I have this little blue bin organizer type thing. I have a plant on top of it and some random things that I have to figure out where to put. And then I have my towels and my photos in there, like my film photos on the bottom one. And then I have this shelf and this painting I did here on this wall. And then I have my bookcase here, which you'll see a whole in-depth tour on it in my tour video. And then I have my two big Funko Pops on top of Grogu and Ghostface. I have my lamp here, and then I have my plants all on this wall here. I have this pink ottoman that I got when I was in college, that I just store like my extra blankets in. I have my guitar hanging up here. I have this little book alcove here. I have a couple of bins and boxes here that I have to get rid of. And my book cart is there along this wall right under my embroidery and my picture. I have to figure out what else I want to put here, but yeah. I have my vinyls on the floor. Can't really show it because the cover of the first one's not appropriate. And then I have, in this next alcove, I have my nightstand with my record player on it and a couple of pictures and my wax melts. And then I have this great organizer here, and then my crutches are just in the corner, and my workout stuff is in this other corner. Above that, I have my Lego collection, and then on this wall here with the door, I have my Funko Pop collection above. And then I have my desk with my makeup and my school stuff on it, which is a mess right now. I do have to clean it. And then on the back of the door, I just have all of my bags hanging. And then I also just found these cute little seashell light switch covers when I was at like an antique store. So I have those on the wall as well. Okay, so starting off with the series that I finished the What's Out of the Maple Hills series. So I have Daydream here by Hannah Grace. I finished this in February, and I gave this a 4.75 star. It was so close to 5, but it just didn't give me the 5-star feeling, so I gave it a 4.75. I really enjoyed this. If you want to see my more in-depth thoughts on these books, you can, at least for Daydream and Sunrise on the Reaping, you can look at my January through March wrap-up, and then Wild and Wrangled will actually be in my April through June wrap-up that I will be putting out at the end of the month, beginning of July. And then the next book series I finished is the Hunger Games series, so I have Sunrise on the Reaping here. I gave this one a 5 stars. Like I said, you can watch my video of my January to March wrap up to see my in-depth thoughts on this, but this book absolutely destroyed me. I still think that I'm not quite recovered from it, as I'm like in a partial reading slump, I would say. I'm like not very motivated to be reading, but I am making myself read so that I can hit my goal for the year. But I did very much enjoy Sunrise on the Reaping. And then the last one I finished was Wild and Wrangled, and I finished this in April. This is the last book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. I gave this one a 4 stars. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Done and Dusted and Lost and Lassoed, which I think I gave Lost and Lassoed a 4.5 and Done and Dusted a 4.25. And then I want to say I gave Swift and Saddle, which is the second one, like a 3.75. Maybe I also gave that one a 4, but I liked this one more than I liked Swift and Saddled. But I don't know, I just didn't really. I liked Cam and Dusty when they were like side characters, but I don't know, something about their story just wasn't gripping me and catching me like how Luke and Emmy's story was or Gus and Teddy's story was. But I did still enjoy it, and I did give it 4 stars. So I forgot to put in the intro that I'm also going to put in like a book haul of the books that I've gotten since I've put out my TBR pile video, which was, I think I put that out in like end of January, beginning of February. So I have bought a pretty decent amount of books since then. So I'm also going to throw in just a little book haul for you guys too. Okay, so I'm going to start with the YA books that I've purchased. So the first one I have here is Sunrise on the Reaping, which I've already read and finished, but I have purchased that since that TBR video. I have The Naturalist by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have A First Time for Everything by K.L. Walther, which is actually her newest book that she just came out with, I think at the beginning of June. So I picked that up. And then I have While We're Young by K.L. Walther as well, that I also picked up. I picked it up in March when it came out, because I do like her writing, and those are the only 2 books of hers that I haven't read yet that I plan on reading. And then I bought Scythe by Neil Schusterman. I saw that Sarah Caroli read this, and a couple of other booktubers read this, and I am in kind of a dystopian kick, and I want to read more dystopian books, so I figured this would be a good one to read, so I picked that up. And then this one actually came recommended to me by one of my college friends, who now lives here in the city with me, and this is None Shall Sleep by Ellie Marney. And I had seen this one before, but I had like taken it off of my list to read it just because I was like, oh, well, I don't know if I really want to read it. And then I was talking to her about it, and the thing that interested me was, it's not this book specifically, it's like the second and third book she said, but they are based in my city. So I thought that would be really cool and interesting to see how they portray my city. And then I bought the entire The Summer I Turned Pretty series. So it's The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. And these are the ones without the sprayed edges. I didn't like the sprayed edges and the colors on the other ones, so I'm very happy I got these ones before they did that. And I do want to reread these, like I will explain in my in-depth tour of this room. I read these in 2016, so I haven't read them in over 10 years, so I would really like to reread them or like read them again. I guess that would be a reread. I want to reread them, but I guess I would be kind of rereading them for the first time in 10 years to see how I like them and if I still like them. Okay, so now I have the like romance books I picked up, but I really picked up like sports romance and cowboy romance books. So the first one I have is Wild and Wrinkled, which I've already read. Then I have the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver, which I wasn't originally going to buy all of them, but I wanted the spines to match, so I just went ahead and bought all of them. So I have Wild Love, Wild Eyes, and Wild Side by her, and then when Wild Card comes out, I will be getting that one. And then I have Deep End by Allie Hazelwood, which this is the only Allie Hazelwood book that I own. But I'm excited to read it because it's about a swimmer and a diver, and I was a swimmer for a very long time, so I'm very excited for this one. And then I have Spiral, which is the second book in the, want to say it's the Off the Ice series by this author, but I am currently reading Collide, so I'm hoping I like Collide and that I can read this one. And then I have some fiction, contemporary fiction books that I have picked up since, and then I have Alone with You in the Ether by Olive E. Blake, which I have already read. I have Never Been Better by Leanne Toshiko Simpson. I have Main Characters by Hannah Ornstein. I have Blue Sisters by Coco Mellers. And I have The Rumor by Ellen Hildebrand. And then I have my mystery, thriller, and horror books that I have bought, as well as a couple of sci-fi fantasy books as well. So first off, I have Instance Around the House by Josh Mallerman. I then have The Martian by Andy Weir, which I also read this in high school, so about 10 years ago. So I do want to reread this one again. I do remember liking it very much. And then I have Nocticadia by Carrie Lake, which is a fantasy. But I think it's going to be a fantasy that I'm going to like, just because it has like the biology kind of aspect to it, and I like biology, so I'm excited for that one. And then I have quite a few Stephen Kings that I have picked up. The first one I have is The Stand by Stephen King, and I believe this is the longest book on my shelf that I own at 1,150 pages almost. Then I have two short stories by him. So I have 1922 by Stephen King, and I have The Mist by him as well. And then I have Dr. Sleep, which is actually the sequel to The Shining, which I am going to read The Shining towards the end of this year, and then I will be getting to Dr. Sleep, which I'm excited for. And then I have A Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates, which I saw Heather McClary, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, reading this, and she said this was very good, very gory, which I love in books, so I'm excited to pick that one up. Then I have Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, and then I have The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. I actually found this one in a free library, so I have this one to read, and I'm excited to read this one, and hopefully my friend finishes it and she tells me how it is, so then I can know if I'm gonna like it or not. And then I have The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, which is the last book of his that I have to read, so I'm very excited for that. And then I have Ground Truth by Rebecca A. Miles, which this is one that's set in my city, so I'm very excited to read it, as I want to see how authors portray my city when they're writing it in a book. And then I have The Surgeon by Leslie Wolf, which this is one that I have been looking to get forever, and I finally got it, so I'm so excited to put this on my TBR and potentially be able to pull it and read it. Okay, and then the last stack of books I have that I have gotten since my TBR pile video. There's going to be a couple of self-help and nonfiction. There are classics and one Jessa Hastings book. So first I have The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I then have Haunted Pittsburgh, which is one of those nonfiction ones. And then I have The Witch of the Monongahela, also, which is another nonfiction one that I've picked up. And then I have Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I have The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. And I have 1984 by George Orwell. And I have Animal Farm by him as well. And then I finally, after months and months and months of searching for it, I have found The Voyage Out by Virginia Woolf. And then lastly, I have this in both paperback and hardcover. I'm only showing the hardcover. This absolutely stunningly gorgeous hardcover. Not just the cover itself, but the end papers on the front and back Are you kidding? Gorgeous. This is the Conditions of Will. And she just recently announced another book. I think it's called Time of Your Life, that is coming out in July, that I will also be getting by her. But so I have The Conditions of Will by Miss Jessa Hastings here too, that I have picked up. Okay, so that is going to be everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.